pollution affects our mental health. What exactly does this mean?
It's a huge source of hypertension. It's a huge source of depression. Kills me that I'm raising children in this city. With every breath, this poison is entering our body, entering our blood. Your entire hormonal change is happening because there's that kind of poison entering your body.
1 in every 7 person or 1 in every 5 person is dying these days.
Levels above 300, you cannot call it air pollution.
हर दिन हम यही खांसी आ रही है, गला खराब हो रहा है, थ्रोट इन्फेक्शंस हो रहे हैं. डू यू थिंक ये आगे जाके बढ़ेगा ही?
हवा से जो जहर है वो तो जा ही रहा है.
हाँ.
उसके ऊपर से मैं दवाइयों का भी जहर.
हर साल जितना हम देखते हैं बढ़ता ही रहता है, बढ़ता ही रहता है, बढ़ता ही रहता है. बट हम, जैसे आपने ऑलरेडी मेंशन किया, फरवरी के बाद भूल जाते हैं.
मोटिवेशन राइट नाउ इज कि हमें $5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी, चाहे मर जाए. लिटिल चिल्ड्रन आर बीइंग मेड टू गो टू स्कूल, हाइब्रिड मोड, ये वो क्या बकवास हो रहा है.
डू यू थिंक इस वक्त पे लॉकडाउन का जरूरत था?
आप शुरू तो करो एक हेल्थ एडवाइजरी से. आपने तो शुरुआत ही नहीं करी है. केजरीवाल जी वाज दिल्ली चीफ मिनिस्टर एंड कांग्रेस वाज इन पंजाब, तो धुआं पंजाब से आ रहा था. एंड जब केजरीवाल वाज इन पंजाब एंड ही वाज आल्सो इन दिल्ली, फिर धुआं पंजाब से नहीं आ रहा था. शेमफुल.
Should the government do you according to you?
First thing I would do is call a public health emergency. I used to think that those animals in the zoos, in the Delhi zoo, have a bad life. Now I feel like all of us, हमारे जो पिंजरे हैं ना, जो हम अपने घरों में घुट-घुट के मर रहे हैं, air purifiers are a terrible solution because you solve one problem and you create another problem.
Ever since I had that throat infection, and I feel that I have been more stressed, and I don't know why.
If you cannot exist in this city, if you're sick in this city 6 months of the year because your air is absolutely poisoned, बचा क्या है यार?
Your biggest threat right now is the air around you. Yes, you heard that right. The same air you trust, inhale, and depend on. Delhi's air has become so poisonous that we all can clearly see it. हर दूसरा इंसान या तो खांसी से परेशान है या तो थ्रोट इन्फेक्शन से. But what we cannot see is that it is also affecting our brain, our mood, our sleep, and most importantly, our memory. Everyone is taking it as ये तो हर साल का प्रॉब्लम है, इसमें नया क्या है, इस साल भी है, अगले साल भी रहेगा. But we are not realizing कि ये हमारी mental health को कितना degrade कर रहा है. And this is why the scenario today is more terrifying. इस बात का रियलाइजेशन जब तक हमको होगा ना, तब तक शायद अंदर ही अंदर बहुत कुछ डैमेज हो चुका होगा. सो लेट्स टॉक अबाउट दिस साइलेंट थ्रेट दैट वी आर फेसिंग करंटली. Hello, my name is Palak and you are listening to the podcast It's Okay to Not to Be Okay. Today we have Mr. Jai Dhar Gupta, who is best described as a clean air activist and entrepreneur. He is a well-documented victim of air pollution and was on the first air pollution task force of the Delhi government that gave us our first odd even in 2015. Welcome, Mr. Jai Dhar Gupta.
Good to be here.
So my first question to you is, जब हम बोलते हैं that air pollution affects our mental health, what exactly does this mean?
Look, air pollution is a downer, right? I mean, it's, that things are not good around you, so it makes you uncomfortable. It puts you outside of your comfort zone. It's a huge source of hypertension. It's a huge source of depression. Certainly, with all the carcinogenic black carbon nanoparticles that are entering our bloodstream, it's also going up to your brain, right? And just the thought of that to me, that with every breath, there's not only black carbon but also chemical aerosols entering my body through my air passages and through my lungs and the alveoli, which is the bridge to my blood. This filth is this poison is entering my body. I mean, it just brings me down. I mean, it's just impossible in the winter months, or actually for most of the year now in Delhi, other than the monsoon time where we have moderate air, and some days of monsoon are also poor, you just never have good air. So it's just not great. And I can tell you, for me personally, if I make this personal, it kills me that I'm raising kids, I'm raising children in this city.
Very true.
I think the guilt of that is probably It's like a samurai sword that is always hanging at my throat. It's like, what am I doing? Like, why? Is it worth it? And it's just those thoughts that bring me down even further. So absolutely, I mean, I don't think anybody can be like positive in a very, very negative environment. I mean, I think Delhi has been compared with like Gotham City, and just the fact that anybody coming into Delhi, like if you take a flight into Delhi, just once you break that layer and you kind of come into that cold air inversion zone, it just all goes gray and dark, and
That's how you know you're in Delhi.
it's just scary, right? You
Yeah.
look at it and you're like, oh my god, when the door of the airplane is going to open, I mean, all hell breaks loose, and why do I want to be here? Why do I want to live here?
Correct.
Right?
So, if we put it scientifically, I want to understand what actually happens inside our body from the minute we are breathing this toxic air until the time it goes inside our bloodstreams. What is exactly happening inside our body?
Yeah, there's firstly, I just want to tell you there's things that we know and there's things that we don't know, right? We have this instrumentation, we have air quality monitoring equipment that measures black carbon particles in the air, what we classify as PM 2.5,
Yeah.
which is particulate matter under 2.5 microns. It's very, very small. It's so small that we can't see it with our naked eye. I can tell you that in this studio where we're recording right now, I'm sure the level is over 200, 250, and the safe level is under 5. Okay, so even here we'll be 40 to 50 times the safe level. And what does that mean? If you divide that number, whatever it is, unfortunately I didn't bring a monitor with me into the room, but let's say it's 220. Okay, I've taken that number for a reason. If you divide whatever the PM 2.5 level is, and by 22, that's the number of cigarettes you've smoked just by breathing. Okay, so that's the amount of black carbon nanoparticles that are going into your lungs. Through your lungs is getting absorbed through the alveoli, which is the bridge between your lung and the blood. That's how oxygen is absorbed into your blood from every breath that you take. It's the same bridge through which this black carbon nanoparticle is getting absorbed. The other problem is that we have so many microplastics in the air. We have so many chemical kind of emissions from industry, from vehicles, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide. It's like a cocktail. There's so much of pesticide in the air just from the farm fires. It's like a cocktail of, poison that's entering your body. And for most of it, like pesticides and stuff, we don't even have instrumentation to measure what's in our air. It's just so bad in Delhi. And I'm sure we're going to get into what's causing this pollution.
Yeah.
But what I want to tell you from a health perspective is that there are only three raw materials that we consume, right? Food, water, and air. And food and water is at most maybe 6 to 10 liters is consumed in a day. We consume 12,000 liters of air in a day, right? 12,000 liters of air, even in weight, is 14 kilograms. So you are what you breathe. You can't escape this, right? And now, due to a whole lot of reasons, our air is filthy. And also we know we can't hold our breath for more than 2 to 3 minutes. For most people, it's probably more like 1 to 2 minutes. Maybe athletes can go to 3 minutes. So you can't stop breathing. Even now in this room, I'm breathing absolute filth,
Yeah.
and I can't stop it, right? Because I can't do this podcast with my mask on, which is usually my SOP, my standard operating procedure. I'll have my mask on, but that's just what it is. So with every breath, this poison is entering our body, entering our blood. You are going through hormonal changes. That's how bad it is. You are getting into areas of autoimmune disease. I'm not even going to get into the simple stuff of heart disease and diabetes and hypertension and infertility, vascular problems. Of course, every kind of lung, respiratory issue, obviously wheezing, asthma. COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, lung cancer, many kinds of cancers. I'm not even getting into that, but I think it's even more complex than that. Your entire hormonal change is happening because there's that kind of poison entering your body, and it's a slow burn, right? It's not like COVID, which kind of knocked you down, made you kind of, you needed oxygen to kind of fight it. It's not like that. This is a slow burn. So there are lots of studies now. I think, the years of life lost from living and breathing in Delhi is 11.9 years, almost 12 years.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's even about the years of life lost. It's about the quality of your life while you're still alive.
Every article says that 1 in every 7 person or 1 in every 5 person is dying these days, and it is because of the pollution.
No, certainly. I mean, if you look at the obituary section of the newspaper, it's all bad news. And I know I'm suffering a lot. I mean, I know I'm, for these peak winter months from November to February, which is about 120 days, I know I have to be out of Delhi for about 60 to 75 days out of the 120 days. So I'm fortunate that I can afford to do that. But the people who can't, I mean, it's hell, and it's on repeat mode every year because nothing is changing, and people are feeling helpless and sitting in their home, and you know. I want to bust another myth because people think ki, pollution bahar hai and we are safe inside. That's not the case. So I think there's lots of studies that tell you that indoor air quality is 5 to 10 times worse than even outdoor air quality, and that's a function of the materials that we are using in our interiors. Everything off gases. तो जो बाहर है वो अंदर है, और फिर अंदर की प्रॉब्लम और भी हैं. There's mold, there's mildew, there's a lot of volatile organic compounds, there's all these materials that we use as adhesives and polishes and varnishes, and the paint off gases. Cement is horrible for health, the off gassing from it, bricks, everything off gases, right? And that's all adding to the toxicity inside. So you're safer outside than inside, to be honest with you. So whenever people say ki, sit inside and whatever, I don't get it, because inside is worse than outside. And the other problem you have inside is that the moment you shut yourself in a closed room, and for an extended period of time, you're consuming all the oxygen, right? So you're just sitting in a box. You've consumed all the oxygen. You're sitting in like very elevated levels of carbon dioxide because with every breath, you and I are consuming the oxygen in the air and exhaling carbon dioxide. So the oxygen level is going down, the CO2 level is going up. This is horrible for health. I mean, to be in an oxygen-starved environment, to be in high levels of carbon dioxide. I mean, we're talking about CO2. CO2 is a narcotic, by the way. You can get narcosis from CO2. It's extremely bad for health. You'll perform poorly. For children in schools, they're not alert. It's impossible to think clearly, and it's not only children in schools. It's even boardrooms. There's no ventilation. I mean, the extent of the problem. I mean, I'm trying to get to you is that none of our indoor spaces have even been planned for any kind of ventilation. There's nothing we have done to promote health and well-being in our indoor spaces. और बाहर तो आपको दिख ही रहा है क्या हो रहा है. Even the worst invention of our lifetime is the split AC. Okay, because there's no ventilation. It traps you into a space for the 8, 9, 10, whatever hours that you're down, and with a closed door and closed windows. The second worst invention now is an air purifier, because it forces you to do the same thing.
But don't you think that's for the betterment of you? Because whenever I put the air purifier in my room, the minute I open the door, it's around 300, 360 AQI. The minute I shut the door after like half an hour, 1 hour, it's back to 100, and sometimes it decreases to 30, and then it decreases to 20, and the minute it decreases, I'm like, wow, I'm in just in a 20, 30 AQI. I feel
No, so similarly, even a split AC is solving a certain problem, right, of thermal comfort, right?
Yes.
When it's 40 degrees or 45 degrees, it's solving a problem.
Yeah.
But it's a flawed technology, right? Because there is no ventilation. So while it's giving you your thermal comfort, with every breath while you're sleeping in a closed box, your CO2 levels are rising and rising and rising, and also your toxicity from your interior materials is rising, right? So you're just sitting in that space in a ball of toxicity with really high carbon dioxide. Air purifier forces you into that same situation. There is no ventilation, there is no air exchange. So you're just, sitting in like a huge amount of carbon dioxide. And if you have other people in that room with you, like in a classroom or in a board meeting or whatever, even if one person has got some kind of an infectious kind of virus, bacteria, cold, cough, flu, whatever that's contagious, everybody's going to get sick because everybody is rebreathing each other's carbon dioxide. It sounds kind of disgusting and unhealthy, which it is. It's absolutely unhealthy. You know, the best form of infection control is ventilation. Ventilation is equal to infection control. Also, ventilation is equal to, that's why, 40, 50 years ago when we didn't have this air pollution and this mosquito problem, because, the cities were not beyond their carrying capacity what they are right now. You could open your doors and windows, and we used to work with like a cross ventilation. Even classrooms when I was young, and I'm 53 now, used to be open windows, and our brains used to fire, right? Because we were in great levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Everything was managed, everything was in a state of equilibrium. We have completely lost equilibrium. I mean, it's just mind-boggling how quickly we've fallen off the edge. And it's shocking that even now, like, people are just sitting at home feeling helpless, thinking that government is going to save them. There is no government. There is no government. Have you heard from your chief minister? Have you heard anything sensible? Have you heard from your environment minister? Have you heard from your health minister? They are behaving like this is a natural disaster. It's not a natural disaster. This happens every year from, mid-October to mid-March. It happens every year like clockwork. Why are they behaving like they don't have a plan? It's a absolute failure of, leadership and governance. There is no leadership and governance. It is worse than a banana republic.
What do you have to say about the water sprinklers being sprayed on the AQI machines just to control the AQI monitor and everything? What do you have to say about that?
Well, there is a way to manage the situation by misleading the public, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think this is the same as kind of managing elections, right?
Yeah.
You're just fooling the people who voted for you. And I think it's a credibility issue. I think there's a huge erosion of trust anytime government tries to do this. This is possibly also the reason that they asked the American embassy, which was the only credible monitor in New Delhi. That was the only data I used to look at. And they asked the embassy to shut it down because they couldn't manage it, right? So it's a credibility issue. It's a trust issue, right? It's a deficit. It's also sending a signal that we are so motivated with our $5 trillion economy goal that we're going to kill millions of people on our way there. I mean, that's the message I'm getting.
Correct. When we talk about the credibility, there's one more issue that I have found out while I was researching for this. Delhi's AQI is never above 500. It's always below 500. Do you think that's the real scenario, or it's something kind of a fugitiveness that has been happening in the monitor as well, or they are just, or is it something that have been very, done very calculatively?
So, honestly, the AQI scale, the way it was developed, because there are different formulas.
Okay.
It hits a peak at 500. Like literally 500 means that, sorry, I mean, you're I mean, that's what it means. 500 means that,
We are gone.
Just get the hell out of the war zone. So, I've gone on record saying that, levels above 300, and you cannot call it air pollution. Levels above 300 are chemical and biological warfare. So you are now in a zone with like something like equivalent to sarin gas. And what's really sad is that in the absence of health advisories and mask advisories, I mean, I'm the only guy wearing a mask outside. I don't think anybody gives a because one of the other problems is illiteracy, right? Poverty and illiteracy. People are not even aware.
Yeah.
People are not aware,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and people have no control over it because it's not like you can stop breathing. People are not aware. Even intelligent people for years and years used to post in the month of October, like, oh, winter's here, what a nice foggy morning. And they don't understand it's not fog, it's smog. It's smoke. There cannot be fog in October because the temperatures are still in, the mid 35s or whatever in 15, 20th October. Intelligent people, very well educated people would mistake, smog for fog. And the government is just taking advantage of all of this. They've refuted all international studies, all health studies. We have done so many source apportionment studies where we know in which month, what are the sources of emissions. There's absolutely no action. Everything that we've seen out of government is unscientific. It's like, अरे अच्छा चलो इस बार ये तीर छोड़ देते हैं, लोगों को कंफ्यूज कर देते हैं, अगले साल कुछ और तीर छोड़ेंगे, we'll just confuse the people and pretend कि अरे we got caught with our pants down. Why are you getting caught with your pants down? This is like clockwork. This public health emergency comes every year. And it's going to keep coming every year till the day I die, because I don't think we're going to fix this in the next 30 years. I don't even think that we're going to fix it in your lifetime, and you're probably in your 20s.
Yeah.
Because we haven't even started. We haven't even called it a public health emergency. We haven't even issued a health advisory. We haven't even issued a mask advisory. We haven't told people how they need to change their behavior so that we can, reduce all this smog around us, this smoke around us. Nothing. There is no knowledge. Some people are confused. Punjab se aa raha hai. Matlab, everybody is trying to manage the narrative, right? When Kejriwal ji was, Delhi chief minister and Congress was in Punjab, तो धुआं पंजाब से आ रहा था, right? And when Kejriwal was in Punjab and he was also in Delhi, फिर धुआं पंजाब से नहीं आ रहा था. Now that BJP is in Delhi and Kejriwal is in Punjab, अब फिर से धुआं वहाँ से आ रहा है. Whereas actually, I mean, if I tell you factually, the burning is more this year, I can't speak for last year, in Madhya Pradesh, UP and Bihar than Punjab. And those are BJP states, by the way. But nobody is talking about that. No media is talking about that because the entire media narrative is even being managed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where the smoke is coming from. What Delhi can do is control whatever is local emissions, because 90 to 95%, even on the best day or the worst day, is all local emissions. So vehicular emissions, industrial emissions, biomass burning. Abhi to kuch bhi nahi hai. You watch what happens in another 15 days when our temperatures dip further. Every poor person is going to start burning some form of biomass to stay warm. Even rich people will. Angithiyan shuru ho jayengi. Bonfires shuru ho jayenge. Every chowkidar is going to be burning something in the night. What are you going to do? I mean, we're going to be smoked, further. I've seen on the banks of the Yamuna. There's so much urbanization, people coming for opportunity because there's no opportunity in rural India. There's thousands of people coming to the Delhis or the Bombays or the Calcuttas every day. So it's a carrying capacity, right? Every city has a carrying capacity. I think Delhi went beyond its carrying capacity 20-25 years ago. Right? Now, anything that we do, you can keep as a government saying smart city, this city, wo city, doesn't matter. We are so beyond our carrying capacity. We are so beyond the tipping point. I mean, your AQI is the highest in the world. You refuse to acknowledge it. Your 88 to 90% of your sewage water, wastewater is going untreated into your rivers. We keep saying Ma Yamuna and Ma Ganga and all this bullshit. What is wrong with people? Are you so lost in your greed and selfishness and your roti kapda and makan that you can't see that what used to be the case? We were once nature.
Yeah.
We are not. We have completely lost our connect with nature. And there is a network of mutuality, right? There is a network of interdependence with nature. And nature has so many, since you started the conversation with mental and emotional kind of well-being.
Nature gives you everything.
Nature gives you everything.
Correct.
And we have finished nature.
Yeah.
नाश कर दिया है अपने greed में, right?
So talking about the government, इससे पहले मतलब आए दिन तो हम यही सुनते रहते हैं कि लंग इन्फेक्शंस हो रहे हैं, कितने ज़्यादा लंग डिजीजेस हो रहे हैं। अब हर दिन हम यही, खांसी आ रही है, गला ख़राब हो रहा है, थ्रोट इन्फेक्शंस हो रहे हैं। डू यू थिंक ये आगे जाके बढ़ेगा ही? मतलब अभी तो चलो शायद हमारा थोड़े दिन होता है फिर कम हो जाता है, फिर थोड़े दिन होता है फिर हम ठीक लेते हैं, एंटीबायोटिक ले, मेरे को हुआ, मैंने एंटीबायोटिक लिया, थोड़ा 2 हफ्ते में फिर से ठीक हो गया, फिर अब वो वापस हुआ, फिर मैंने दवाई लिया, फिर वो ठीक हो गया। तो आपको नहीं लगता कि ये अंदर ही अंदर हमारी बॉडी को इतना ज़्यादा डैमेज कर रहा है कि आगे जाके बहुत ज़्यादा ही
See,
प्रॉब्लम कर रहा है?
I've gone through this myself. I've
या
been suffering since 2013. And what I realized is कि हवा से जो जहर है वो तो जा ही रहा है,
हाँ
उसके ऊपर से मैं दवाइयों का भी जहर,
हाँ
I used to dip and I used to go on the steroids. It's like a double whammy, right? And now every time I feel like I'm going down, I leave Delhi. Like literally, I get in my car and I'll start driving because you need to drive about
वेयर डू यू गो?
170, 180 kilometers out of Delhi. I go towards Uttarakhand. I have
अच्छा
created my own little, I'm a refugee, and I've been a refugee for pollution refugee for the last 12 years. And that's already on record. I have to run away from this city because it's a war zone. Every winter it's a war zone, and I become a refugee. I have to run away. And it's not me. There's, I think, thousands of people like me now, because there's thousands of people who message me or call me and say ki, what is the week we should leave, what is the worst, or what is the window in which we can be here, and what is the window we should be out of here. ये तो अब एक एग्जैक्ट साइंस बन गई है, सबको पता है, खाली सरकार को नहीं पता. Which is shocking. There's thousands of people. There's tens of thousands of people who have moved out of Delhi. खाली सरकार को नहीं पता.
नहीं, तो जैसे अभी हम बात कर रहे थे कि 25-20 साल पहले ही पता चल गया था कि बहुत ख़त्म हो गई है पोल्यूशन की, जो होल्ड अप कर सकते थे जितना दिल्ली, वो पहले ही ख़त्म हो गया है. हर साल जितना हम देखते हैं बढ़ता ही रहता है, बढ़ता ही रहता है, बढ़ता ही रहता है, बट हम, जैसे आपने ऑलरेडी मेंशन किया, हम फरवरी के बाद भूल जाते हैं, फिर अगले साल की हम वेट करते हैं. मुझे ये जानना है कि जब इतना ज़्यादा बढ़ चुका है तो गवर्नमेंट क्यों नहीं ले रही है कोई एक्शन? आपको मतलब, या फिर उनके पास कुछ
I'll tell you.
एक्शन लेने के लिए है ही नहीं, उनके पास कुछ मतलब.
See, the whole environmental agenda conflicts with the government's agenda with $5 trillion economy. What will you need to do to slow down air pollution or to reverse climate change? What is it that you're going to do? You're going to have to slow consumption. Okay, which means you're going to have to slow the economy, which goes against their agenda. Why do you think they tucked Swachh Bharat away? कोई बात ही नहीं करता स्वच्छ भारत की. अब तो गंदे भारत की बात होती है, मतलब openly everybody is polluting everything. So what our entire country right now is on a path of high consumption, irresponsible consumption. I won't even say high consumption. Irresponsible consumption, no governance on anything. It's like it's really Baba Sade Naal hai. It's like management by hope. Okay, and the only motivation right now is कि हमें $5 trillion economy, चाहे मर जाए, करोड़ों लोग मर जाएं, करोड़ों लोग बीमार हो जाएं, हमारा हेल्थ केयर बिल 5 ट्रिलियन से ज़्यादा चले जाए, उसकी परवाह नहीं है हमें. हमें खाली परवाह है कि हम इकोनॉमिक सुपर पावर बन जाएंगे. ओके, पर कैपिटा इनकम चाहे मतलब 8-10 हज़ार रुपये ही हो, पर हम इकोनॉमिक सुपर पावर बन जाएंगे. आई डोंट थिंक दैट्स द केस. मैं जो देख रहा हूँ पिछले 10-12 साल से, जब से मेरी अवेयरनेस अवेकनिंग हुई है, जब से मैं बीमार हुआ हूँ, मेरे को ब्रोंकियल आस्थमा हुआ है, मैं यही देख रहा हूँ कि मेरी क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ, मैं जितना भी अमीर हो जाऊँ, मेरी क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ घट ही रही है, बढ़ नहीं रही है. सो आई थिंक पीपल नीड टू बी aware. We people, at least the ones above the age of 18, have something very important in our hands, our vote.
Correct.
Okay, and what I have seen ever since I got asthma, I have been appalled at the people of Delhi, and it's also related to, again, illiteracy and poverty. These governments are able to manage the votes, buy the votes, give freebies of water and roti, kapda, makan, the basic essentials Nobody asked for clean air. We wasted the election of 2015. We wasted the election of 2020. And now again, we wasted the election of 2025. Because nobody is asking for clean air. If you cannot exist in this city, if you're sick in this city 6 months of the year because your air is absolutely poison, bacha kya hai yahan? What are you going to be here for? Even if you have the greatest job and you're earning millions of dollars, buddy, you're going to die a terrible death. You're going to be very, very sick. We're not talking about mortality. I'm talking about morbidity. There are young people, 18, 20, 18, 20 who are non-smokers who are getting lung cancer. Yaar, your pulmonologists are telling you, get out of Delhi. Your cardiologists are telling you, get out of Delhi. यहाँ से निकलो 8-10 हफ्ते के लिए. What is it going to take? The only ones who are quiet are people in government, including the health minister. And little children are being made to go to school, hybrid mode. ये वो क्या बकवास हो रहा है यार? It is a state of emergency. This is more serious than COVID. And you stopped the economy during COVID. You had a mask advisory. You had lockdowns. You did all this ताम झाम because the whole world was watching. Report card नजर आ रहा था कि इंडिया में कितने लोग मरे हैं. इसका रिपोर्ट कार्ड कोई देख ही नहीं रहा बाहर. ये तो एक रीजनल प्रॉब्लम है इंडो गंजेटिक प्लेन की. तो ये दबाए जा रहे हैं. It's a shit show.
टॉकिंग अबाउट द लॉकडाउन, अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी ये चीज़ बोली थी. देयर वर सम एक्शंस टेकन. उन्होंने तो अपने जो सीनियर लॉयर्स हैं उनको बोला कि नो देयर इज़ नो नीड टू कम टू कोर्ट, यू हैंडल इट फ्रॉम जूम. और गवर्नमेंट ने भी अपने टाइमिंग्स वगैरह चेंज करे. एंड देयर वाज दिस थिंग कि पीपल वर डिमांडिंग लॉकडाउन, बट एट द सेम टाइम देयर वर सम पीपल हु वर सेइंग कि नहीं, क्या ज़रूरत है. एंड ऑफ कोर्स एज यू मैंशनड कि हाइब्रिड हो रहा है और पीपल आर टेकिंग वर्क फ्रॉम होम. डू यू थिंक इस वक्त पे लॉकडाउन का ज़रूरत था? एंड इफ यस, तो उससे क्या फ़र्क पड़ता हमारी जो पोल्यूशन हो रहा है उससे?
Absolutely.
पड़ता.
You stop economic activity, you will see an immediate change in your environment. Everything, all these emissions are due to combustion, which are happening due to economic activity.
करेक्ट.
Industrial emissions, vehicular emissions, ये तो सब खत्म हो जाते हैं
हाँ.
overnight.
यस.
Absolutely. यार, आप शुरू तो करो एक हेल्थ एडवाइजरी से. आपने तो शुरुआत ही नहीं करी है. Since the 19th of October, we have been in a public health emergency. Today is the 21st. It's been 32, 33 days. And you talk about the judiciary, right? Who has said कि अरे हालात खराब है, virtual hearing करो. It's the same judiciary who after a day of GRAP 1 being announced made fireworks legal for Diwali.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that judiciary has no credibility in my eyes. It's the same judiciary who 3-4 days ago in a court hearing that I was watching virtually is asking the lawyers कि CAQM क्या होता है, GRAP क्या होता है. The Chief Justice of India who lives in Delhi is asking कि CAQM क्या होता है, GRAP क्या होता है. What a man. This is the judiciary जिसको आप ट्रस्ट करते हो, जिसकी credibility है. Your chief minister doesn't even know what AQI is. These are our leaders. These are the people we trust with our lives and the lives of our parents and our children. I'm leaving. I'm done with Delhi. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take over here for people to wake up and get out of their, their roti kapda and makan rat race and say that we're going to get out onto the streets and force change. We organize, public protests, absolutely peaceful protests just to send a message to government that you can't sit on your on this. This is a huge problem and we want bold decisions on it. Those peaceful protests are a way to send a message to government to make them bolder, to make the judiciary also bolder on ki bhaiya, this city is fed up and is ready for change.
Yeah.
That's the intent of these peaceful protests. Nobody comes onto the streets. Everybody is engaging on social media. Again, even this podcast is just going to touch it on social media, right? That's it. It doesn't go beyond that. Nobody wants to get inconvenienced कि मैं इंडिया गेट जाऊँ या जंतर मंतर जाऊँ. अरे यार, वो लोग बेवकूफ़ है जो वहाँ जाते हैं. I've been doing it since 2015. on repeat mode ki someday, as a parent, I used to feel in 2015, yaar, parents so aayenge yaar. They have to love their children. Which parent doesn't love their child? और ठीक है, यंगस्टर्स ना आए, ठीक है, बहुत बुजुर्ग नहीं आए, पर जिनके छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं, ओके, 50-60 लाख तो होंगे, 1 करोड़ होंगे पेरेंट्स जिनके छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं, वो जरूर आएंगे.
Do they come?
Nobody comes. सब सोच रहे हैं कोई और फिक्स कर देगा. फाइन, ट्रस्ट योर जुडिशरी यार, ट्रस्ट योर चीफ मिनिस्टर. कुछ हुआ है 32 दिनों में? Has anybody stepped out and said, you know what, we feel your pain and we are on it? It's an emergency and we are here. Let's work together. And kuch bhi nahi hua hai. No, everybody is normalizing an AQI of, whatever, 600, 800, 500, whatever you want to believe. It's a shit show. It's not air pollution. We have gone way beyond air pollution. And let me tell you, if we talk about air pollution and we talk about spikes,
Yeah.
like a Diwali night is a spike, right? That's short-term exposure. And that's bad. But exposure of levels of, 4 to whatever, 100,000 for 30 to 33 days, and it's not going to end till March. It's going to be 120, 150 days of long-term exposure. It's going to send all of us to our grave very, very quickly. I mean, I don't mean just, in terms of mortality. I'm talking about morbidity, in terms of making us very, very sick, in terms of compromising our immune systems, our autoimmune systems, our hormonal balance, everything. I mean, not being able to be active for 4 or 5 months. I mean, imagine the health effect of that. People who love to bicycle or run or go for walks, do outdoor activity. Not everybody can afford to go to a gym, and even the gyms have horrible air.
Yeah.
वहाँ कौन सा air purification है?
Does this affect differently on each and every person?
Of course.
Like, for example, I'm
Of
talking
course,
about.
I have a weak chest, so I get asthma. Somebody else is showing up in the form of allergies and rhinitis. Somebody else is showing up in the form of headaches. Somebody else is showing up in the form of skin rash. Somebody else is showing up in the form of lung cancer. Somebody else is showing up in the form of infertility.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, it affects everything in your body. And
And what about pregnant women, children, elderly people? These things affect to them more, or is it the same?
well, it depends on your immunity, right? And it depends, what your kind of weak points are in your body. Like everybody has something, through your DNA or whatever. Like in my family, through my mother, it's, asthma and, having a weak chest. So that's where it arrests me, right away, right? So I'm more prone to, asthma attacks, bronchial asthma attacks, because it starts with a allergic rhinitis and turns into a bronchial asthma attack. And then I can't breathe. And I'm sure as I age, I'll be more prone to pneumonia and, COPD or lung cancer and things like that, because that's what my point of weakness is. So everybody is different, based on your DNA. It's not one kind of set pattern or formula. And that's why it's very difficult. And that's what the government is using. There is no direct link between air pollution and morbidity and mortality. That's what they're using. But there are enough studies to say that, 1.7 to 2 million people die from air pollution in India every year. It is shameful. It is
What
shameful.
should the government do you according to you? मतलब उनको क्या करना चाहिए कि अभी तक तो कुछ किया नहीं है as such. अभी क्या करना चाहिए जो बिल्कुल मतलब बंद तो नहीं होगा, इतने साल लगे हैं इसको बढ़ाने के लिए, air pollution, it will gradually slow down. What can they do? Just some of the precautions that you can share for the government.
So the first thing I would do is call a public health emergency.
Yeah.
Okay, issue health advisories, issue a mask advisory. Okay, then the next thing, because it becomes easier the moment you call a public health emergency, that it empowers you to take emergency steps, right? So I would definitely make Saturday, Sunday car free days. Okay, no cars in Delhi, right? If 40 to 50% of your emissions, local emissions, are from cars, I would shut that down, right? Every junior engineer who's measuring the emissions of all the industries in Delhi and taking a hafta, I mean, I would go put citizens in charge because the JEs are all compromised, right? वो हफ्ता ले रहे हैं, emissions हो जा रहा है, laws तो हैं, कोई इन्फोर्समेंट नहीं हो रहा. सो लेट्स पुट सिटीजंस इन चार्ज यार. आपकी अगर गवर्नमेंट मशीनरी काम ही नहीं कर रही, देयर इज नो पॉइंट ऑफ सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेइंग कि अच्छा ये लॉ है, फायरवर्क्स का लॉ है, ये लॉ. सब फायरवर्क्स जला रहे थे जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बैन भी किया हुआ था. जब आम आदमी पार्टी थी फिर भक्त जला रहे थे. जब भक्त थी उन्होंने तो लीगलाइज ही कर दिया सुप्रीम कोर्ट से. तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट भी नलिफाई हो गया. जुडिशरी इज ऑल्सो कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड. I mean, that's the message I'm getting.
Yeah.
Right? It makes no sense that Supreme Court will allow fireworks a day after GRAP 1 is enforced. It makes no sense. There is no scientific logic कि आपने एक दिन पहले इमरजेंसी डिक्लेयर कर दी दिल्ली में और उसके एक दिन बाद सुप्रीम कोर्ट कहता है नहीं नहीं, आई थिंक वी शुड, दिवाली आ रही है, वी शुड डेफिनेटली बर्न फायरवर्क्स एंड टेक दिस टू a level of 1700, take it to let's have a pyrotechnic show in Delhi and burn it up. It makes no sense. So, you asked me again, what should government do? Air pollution can be reversed, right? If the government has a will, which I think in India is only going to come if we make it a vote bank issue. So if the underserved, the safai karamcharis and the Aam Aadmi voter kind of steps out onto the road and says, we are all dying, which I think everybody is, and my voice is also changing and becoming more coarse. You have to change behavior, right? This is a man-made problem. This is not a natural disaster. Okay, so let me give you an example of changing behavior. I'll tell you what Paris does when its AQI hits 180. Okay. When 180 is a good day in Delhi for us.
Yeah.
So at 180, Paris will ban all private vehicles and make public transportation free.
Oh,
Okay, so that's an example of incentivizing good behavior and penalizing bad behavior. Okay, private vehicles cause pollution. You say, you guys are off the roads, no private vehicles allowed. Public transportation is great, doesn't cause any pollution. Public transportation becomes free. So that's one example. So we have to take steps exactly like that, right? So even for private vehicles, I mean, I would completely ban diesel vehicles in Delhi. I mean, one diesel passenger vehicle has the emissions of 9 petrol vehicles. Okay, so diesel should be complete. I don't understand the value of diesel passenger vehicles in Delhi anymore. वैसे तो पेट्रोल भी बैन कर देना चाहिए. Like every good decision that we've had, to scrap vehicles. There was a law on 10-year diesel vehicles.
Yes.
So everything that kind of we move forward in an environmental direction, वो सब हम reverse करते जाते हैं. So that's it. I mean, I think I used to think that, those animals in the zoos, in the Delhi Zoo, have a bad life. Now I feel like all of us, हमारे जो पिंजरे हैं ना, जो हम अपने घरों में घुट के मर रहे हैं, those animals are better off. At least they haven't surrounded themselves with the materials that we have, the cement and bricks and paint and polish and varnish. मतलब हर चीज़ में हम अपनी लाइफ में जो हम टॉक्सिक हाउस क्लीनिंग के हाउसकीपिंग के मटेरियल्स यूज़ कर रहे हैं, डिश वॉशिंग लिक्विड्स यूज़ कर रहे हैं, एवरीथिंग दैट वी आर यूजिंग इन आवर होम्स इज एब्सोल्युटली full of chemicals and absolutely toxic. We have completely lost the plot. We have introduced so much poison into our life that we should not be shocked कि यार कैंसर हो गया या एकदम से कोई मर गया. We shouldn't be shocked. We are only bringing poison into our homes every day.
Wow, it kind of makes so much sense now. Now you've gathered a lot of information. Coming back to when you said you don't have to use air purifiers because it's one kind of another toxic thing that we are keeping it in our house.
No, I didn't say you don't have to use air purifiers.
Okay.
I think what the point message here was split AC भी अभी भी बिक ही
रहा है.
But it is a terrible solution. Air purifiers are a terrible solution because you solve one problem and you create another problem.
But for
it's an incomplete solution.
Yes.
But there are solutions available. I am an expert on indoor air quality. I have a for-profit business that does air purification. The best solution is filtered ventilation. Okay, so basically you think of this as like a Kalyug ki khidki. It's a mechanical window that forces outside air into your home and filters it through an electronic and a chemical filter. So you get Switzerland quality air into your house. And it blasts because air will follow a path of least resistance. It'll go through your entire home. Also, if you think of your home as a box and if you're blasting air inside it, you create like positive pressure through your entire home. That's the best solution if you want indoor air quality, right?
Okay.
So I'm not saying air purifiers are bad. I'm just saying that, for me, it's an incomplete solution. अगर एक चीज को सॉल्व करने के लिए आप दूसरी प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट कर दो तो which is also equally bad for health, then you haven't solved the problem.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because people are measuring PM 2.5.
Yeah.
People are not measuring carbon dioxide. The day I started measuring carbon dioxide, I was like, oh my God, no wonder I'm waking up tired. No wonder I'm waking up lethargic. No wonder I'm waking up with pains and aches in my joints or a mild headache. I started putting two and two together. Now that I sleep with filtered ventilation in my room, my God, I wake out of bed and I'm like, I get out of bed and I'm like a tiger. I mean, it's changed my life. So air is, it's not an easy subject, but if you really start to kind of put it all together, and a lot of it is just common sense. अगर आप डब्बे में बंद होके सांस लोगे, तो obviously carbon dioxide build up होएगा. And that's what split ACs and air purifiers force you to do.
Okay. So you are saying it's not at all very bad to use the air purifiers. We can use it at some extent, but air filters are something that we should definitely have in our homes.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have air purifiers in your home,
Yes.
then between 4 and 6 p.m., the warmest time of the day where you get a little bit of movement of air, it's the highest movement of air, so there's some disbursement. अभी भी हम देख रहे हैं कि 200-250 तक आ जाता है 4 से 6 बजे.
6 बजे, हाँ.
उस टाइम तो एटलीस्ट अपने खिड़की दरवाजे खोलो and try and get some oxygen into your home.
Okay.
Starting about 6:30, you can start shutting down again and then use that oxygen that you've kind of captured in your home through the night, whatever. But I don't want to get too technical. But when I was sleeping in a split AC room alone or in an air purifier room, my night would start with carbon dioxide levels at about 600 to 650, and what's considered good is under 800. And when I was waking up in the morning, single person in the room, my levels were over 2000, and it's the 2000 level is just horrible. मतलब maximum 1200-1300 तक चले जाए, but what is considered good in an indoor environment is a level under 800 parts per million. So please, split ACs, air purifiers, I'm not a fan.
Got it.
Okay, I sell air purifiers and I still tell people when they call me that this is the part of my business that I hate. Can I convince you to do something else which is a better solution, because this is not a good solution.
Okay. Okay, wow. So, what do you think? What kind of future are we heading towards economically, physically, emotionally, because of our surroundings, because of the air pollution that we are surrounded with? What do you think?
Well, you are the mental health expert. Why don't you tell me what is your mental state right now? You're 32 days into a chemical and biological warfare zone. How are you feeling?
I am not feeling good actually, because ever since I had that throat infection, and I feel that I have been more stressed, and I don't know why. Is it because of I tell myself, maybe it's the work, but somehow I know it's not the work. It's somehow the surrounding that I am walking towards. And air purifiers, it gives me a kind of mental satisfaction, as I told you earlier, that okay, I'm in a good space. But now listening to you, I think that maybe it's something that
I've made it worse for you. I'm really sorry, but I don't think I don't think a false sense of comfort is good for anybody. I think I don't want people to kind of get into private solutions and be like, अच्छा चलो यार बाहर की हवा भाड़ में जाए. मैंने तो अपने कमरे में एयर प्योरीफायर लगा लिया. It's not a good solution. Okay, it's going to create other health problems for you. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I think cancer is basically dead cells in your body, right? And if you are living in high CO2 environments, I'm sure you'll accelerate the pace at which dead cells are created in your body, right? So I mean, Look, it's just hard to be positive when you can smell smoke in the air. It's hard to be positive when you can see the grayness. It's just depressing. If sunlight doesn't get to your skin for 3 or 4 months because it's that gray, the air is so gray, it's depressing,
Yeah.
right? It's just hard to be positive because you're constantly now sensitized, right? You're looking around you. धूप भी, the sun is not looking like the sun any. वो भी बेचारा लग रहा है कि वो सिसक सिसक के मतलब
बहुत
आप तक
हल्का हल्का
पहुंचने की
लग रहा है.
कोशिश कर रहा है. your yeah, it's just all gray. It just all looks bad, and everywhere I look I'm still seeing lots and lots of waste burning, and अभी तो अंगीठियां शुरू भी नहीं हुई हैं. So it's going to be a long winter. It's going to be a long winter.
You told me a bit earlier that when we were talking on call, you told me that these 3 days were the most high AQI days, if I'm getting that correct. How do you guys like get to know that? Because do you do that research or
Yeah. So
how?
I subscribe to some weather apps that I pay for.
Okay.
Some advanced weather apps, and you are able to kind of see the predictors and see what's coming. And these predictors are usually only good for the next 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
So it's not like you can predict
For next month or
yeah,
this
or even a week, 10 days from now. But these predictors are usually pretty accurate, 3 to 4 days forward. And so you can see it's cause and effect, right? You can see कि अच्छा कहाँ pollution source है, कहाँ farm fires हो रही हैं, wind direction क्या है, are we downwind, are we upwind. The moment you're downwind from a huge source, अपनी तो local emissions हैं ही, और वो तो 365 दिन रहती हैं. That's not going away. But then if you're downwind from another big source, which is what happens, when the farm fires are there and you're downwind from it. So now kind of the northwest farm fires, jo Punjab ki fires hai, they are dying. I think within the next 4 or 5 days, farm fires in Punjab will be over. So if the winds continue out of the northwest, it's all local emissions. Okay, you can't blame any Punjab or whatever, but UP, Madhya Pradesh, and Bihar is on fire. Okay, so if your wind direction turns to easterly, suddenly you will become downwind from those fires. So you have to look at all those, what's changing, what's the wind direction,
Got it.
what's the speed of the wind. The higher the wind, it'll just carry the load away. If the wind is kind of dying, then that pollution will just come and literally fall into Delhi, because Delhi has that, that depressed kind of topography, right? So your bowl will just kind of keep filling up with all this muck. That's why we keep saying that, Delhi is stuck in a gas chamber. It's the topography of Delhi is also challenging, which kind of doesn't help the cause. लोगों की आदतें भी गंदी हैं, टोपोग्राफी भी ठीक नहीं है, यहाँ सिवियर विंटर भी होता है, पावर्टी भी बहुत है, इलिटरेसी भी बहुत है, अर्बनाइजेशन भी अनमैनेज अर्बनाइजेशन भी बहुत है, बिकॉज रूरल इंडिया में तो कोई अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं है. इट्स एवरीथिंग पॉइंट्स टू अ फेलियर ऑफ गवर्नमेंट. I don't think we need a smart city program. I would love to see programs in villages to create opportunity there, so that every youngster from the village is not entering into Delhi, because it's not only creating an environmental problem, it's also creating a crime problem or a security problem in our cities, right?
Correct. Now, what can we do as public? I mean, of course, you've mentioned a lot of things. Add add filters, avoid using air purifiers, go on the street and talk about that we should have health advisory and everything. Because at today's time, it gets a little difficult for each and every person to be on the streets and, demand what they want. What else do the audience or we can do for getting a better surrounding near us?
I think all of us need to analyze what we do every day that contributes to the pollution. As I said, each one of us is only making this pollution. It's not a natural disaster. So if you are, commuting in a petrol car or diesel car, if you are, lighting your chula with wood, or if you're barbecuing, or if you're using excessive electricity, doing anything that combusts, or lighting up a tandoor to make your naans and rotis and all of that. I mean, you just have to kind of think about everything that you're doing, right? I mean, that's why people are saying, send your kids to school in the school bus, don't send them by private cars, uh, you know, um, uh, use public transportation, walk, bicycle, work from home. All of those things are things that we can do to reduce our carbon footprint right now, because
Correct.
that's the need of the hour. If all of us become kind of conscious, responsible citizens, तो ये problem ही नहीं होगी, right? इसे everybody thinks कि यार ये किसी और की problem है, कोई और fix कर देगा, तो फिर then everybody choke to death.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's the tragedy of the commons, right? And nobody's willing to take responsibility. No government wants to take responsibility. No citizen wants to take responsibility. सब सोच रहे हैं वो दूसरा करेगा. सब मर रहे हैं. गवर्नमेंट में भी मर रहे हैं. शायद वो हमारे टैक्स पेयर मनी से एयर प्योरीफायर्स अच्छे वाले खरीद लें, पर उनको पता नहीं है वो एयर प्योरीफायर से भी मरेंगे, क्योंकि वो CO2 एनवायरनमेंट में मरेंगे.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. I think I got a lot of information today, and so has the audience. And I think we will keep each and everything that we've learned today in mind. Is there anything that you want to say to the audience? You can say it on camera.
No, each and every one of us has a responsibility to
Correct.
kind of course correct.
Yeah.
It's going to take a collective effort. Make your vote count. Be conscious of whatever you're doing in your daily life, because we are creating the pollution. This pollution is not coming from Punjab or whatever the politicians want you to believe. It is all majority, like 90-95% is all from Delhi. There's so many myths. Delhi has poor air quality 365 days of the year, and 5 months of the year it has hazardous air quality. The only time we have moderate air quality, which is also not good, is for the 45 to 60, whatever 70 days that we have monsoon, which comes with strong winds. So people need to understand that rain only settles PM10. PM 2.5 is only dispersed by wind. So if you have rain without wind, your PM 2.5 level will not drop. Okay, so there's lots of kind of myths. Please, whatever government is doing or telling you, think about the science. Think कि यार इसमें common sense क्या है. If the government is telling you they're going to do artificial rain at a time where there are no clouds in the winter time, just think कि again बेवकूफ़ बना रहे हैं. And what they do for credibility is they'll make some पप्पू from IIT sit next to them. उससे credibility आ जाएगी, क्योंकि सबको पता है गवर्नमेंट में लोग अनसाइंटिफिक हैं, तो वो IIT वाले को किसी को साथ में बिठा लेते हैं कि अच्छा IIT वाला साथ में है तो साइंटिफिक होगा. Okay, so just we are all thinking people, just cut through the bullshit. The government is trying to manage their own narrative. We citizens are sitting helpless. The citizens are going to have to find a way out of this. I don't think we can trust government anymore. अगर 12 साल से नहीं किया तो आगे भी नहीं करेंगे, unless we force them to do it.
Yeah, actually that's true. Government जो करेगी वो करेगी, but हमें तो अंदर से शुरुआत करनी है, and we have to
And
think
we need
about-
to start today,
Yeah.
or we need to start yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, each and every one of us. I mean, don't wait for government. There is no government. Yeah.
So just make sure that you are sitting properly and you are very much prepared for this.
Be the change. I mean,
Be the
that's
change,
it. Yeah,
yes,
that's
of
it.
course.
That kind of sums it up.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Sure.
It was really great having you today.
No, pleasure. Pleasure.